Hello and welcome to another episode of Brand Retro. Today on the podcast, we have Jennifer Mulchandani, who's an agency founder and CEO and also host of the M Word podcast. So, Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you. So excited to be here, Mike.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your business and kind of what you do with Arlington Strategy.
Sure. Founded the agency 12 years ago. We are a small, comprehensive, so everything from brand to ongoing marketing implementation and everything in between, house with some graphic designers and digital marketers and brand strategists on the team. And we work with clients really at every stage of growth, quite a few nonprofit organizations. And my heart and soul is with small business and feel good companies that really want help making a difference with their brand. So that's
Yeah,
kind of what we do.
awesome. So one of the things I noticed as I was prepping for this episode was that you guys do a lot of different community-based efforts around nonprofits, working with small business. Tell me a little bit about that and what your passion is behind all that.
Sure. And I was interviewing a potential intern today who asked me like what my founding vision was for the organization. And it sounds so trite, but our tagline, which is "Thriving Brands, a Better World," is really what it's at. My background was in public service, government, bureaucracy, policy, and through a long, circuitous path, I found myself in the marketing world. And it was really important to me to find this nexus between business, good old-fashioned economy stuff, and being able to do good in the world, and that they didn't need to be like two sides to anything, that there really could be one and the same. And so what we've learned in all of our years is that businesses that are actually doing authentically good things, their marketing is that much better because they have really good stuff to talk about and show. And it doesn't feel made up and trying to get attention by just being kitschy or cute, but they can get attention by being good people, made up of good people doing good causes. So I think there's a real power in using marketing for this sort of win-win for society benefit that, it's not about just coming up with the cutest cat video for your product, but it could really be about finding something that is meaningful that just has a good outcome. So business thrives, but your community is also benefiting at the same time.
Yeah, so one of the things, and I like your thoughts on this, when I was in the corporate world, and I'm not knocking it by any means, but there's all these initiatives that pop up, right? There's annual events and different opportunities to give back to the community and get involved. And there's a schedule to it because year over year you did the same things.
Mhm.
And when I started Cyberdogz, my thought was always like, why do we have to wait around for that next year? Why do we have to wait around for that next event? Why, like, again, nothing wrong with that approach, but my thought was, why can't we just give on the daily? Like, why can't we find ways to contribute and support and build small business and community on the daily? And then it becomes our culture and our lifestyle and that
Right.
sort of thing. So I'd
Yeah.
love to hear your thoughts on that because since we started our business, like we've always just done that. So
Mhm.
it's not that we don't get involved in other things too, but it's like we're just doing it all the time. And
Yeah.
it's part of
It's
us.
like your DNA, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't separate. It's so I hate the term corporate social responsibility. It's like, oh, it's like one of those like, oh, it's in the manual. We been responsible yet? Like check. And I know the people who run those programs are not that type, right? They're come from a really good place. But I feel like to me it's like you either are or you're not socially responsible or community minded. Like you are saying, oh, we signed up for the annual volunteer day. And we do that too. Yes.
Yep.
But it's like, is that part of your everyday, to your point, which I absolutely love. And for us, for the last many years since we've had the capacity, like we take on a significant pro bono clientele. So we have two different clients. One is a very local, it's in our county only, and they're a social services nonprofit that supports a homeless shelter and moving people into permanent stable housing. And then we support our community college system foundation, which supports 80,000 students over 6 campuses in Northern Virginia. And we serve on the board and provide pro bono communication strategy and communication support. And I love that they're two different but equally connected, but our whole team gets to touch this stuff, right? It's not us taking it on and me as the founder being like, I'm going to do the free work because
Yeah.
I don't have to pay anybody. No, my team, they make their salary, but they get to work on this cool stuff. It's not the only thing they work on, but it creates like this, I don't know, people like to go to work when they know they're going to do something good, right? And it isn't like just, well, more billable hours. We treat them like clients. They have budgets and we put parameters around it, but it's like everybody wins. My team is excited that they get to touch these really cool projects and support the community. And then the community gets like the bridges to independence, like they don't have to hire a marketing manager. We are saving them the equivalent of an FTE. That's incredible. And then adding agency capabilities on top of it, which most organizations don't have that access to. I tell everybody, like, you don't need to be buying $100,000 sponsorships to feel like it's like you can play in this community give back on small but really meaningful ways. Like, I think that unless businesses think about it a lot, they think that it's like either you're rolling in dough or somehow somebody's connected to something. But like there's other ways to get involved that are doable no matter what your size or your cash flow situation looks like.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know, I think when you look at where you want to be in that process, do you want to be somebody who just buys I'm going to buy a table at the next gala kind of a person, or do you want to be somebody who's getting their hands dirty and working with somebody on the daily? I think it's all good stuff, don't get me wrong, but I think we're that kind of business that just wants to be involved on the ongoing. And then that way, with a no strings attached expectation, we can essentially do more over time without any boundaries or anybody to tell us, hey, you fulfilled your obligation, because it's just a relationship to us.
Yeah, exactly. I think for us, ironically, I think, you attract the kind of clients you want to attract, and we attract clients that like to do this type of community engagement and more authentic partnership. And we have one client in particular who's just cares so much about everything. Like every other day is like, can we do this? Can we do that? It's like at a certain point, you're like, your marketing has to be a little bit planned and you can't do everything. You could donate to whatever you want to, but your marketing can't at some point we do have to talk about who you are and what you do too,
Right.
that's a great problem to have as opposed to a client that's like kicking and screaming, I don't know what to do. And
But that's also filling a huge need for a lot of these nonprofits and these initiatives, because they're all most of them are volunteer based and they just don't have the built-in resources. So
yeah,
when they're tasked with putting together a marketing plan, or what do we need to do to host X, Y, and Z event,
yeah,
it's all foreign to them. They don't know. So
right.
what's great about it is for people like us, companies like ours, to jump in there and help them steer it and craft it and build a model around it. That's
Yep.
huge. And I don't know that a number could be put to it, but it's super valuable.
It's super valuable. And then even like, and you're right, like so many of these committees, whether it's like their annual gala or their golf event or whatever, it's like it's a group that comes together. It's a different group, and oftentimes like their development person has changed. The continuity within small nonprofits it's an issue nationwide. It's like everybody deals with it. And so having the continuity of an agency supporting them, I think provides even just structure on like, here's what happened before, and here's what worked, and here's the opportunities that we identified because we know enough to do the postmortem on the marketing campaign and the outreach and how well it worked. So yeah, it is the enablement that we can give to organizations. Stuff that's easy for us. It's just our everyday. We don't even know that like, wow, that's knowledge.
Right.
It's just how we operate can be just so value added, it's just really rewarding.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit of how you work with clients and individuals to help them kind of craft and bake that philanthropy mindset into their brand and their business.
Yeah. Part of our process part of it's in the sales cycle. Like,
Yeah.
do you do any community engagement? Do you have philanthropy? Do you have a budget for that? And usually we haven't thought about it. It's not like, no, we're morally opposed to doing good in the world. So we suss out the starting point, but then our engagements almost always include an onboarding survey that we give our clients. And it's tactical, like give us your logins and we need access. But then it's also, why'd you start this? What matters to you? Does your brand have values? Do your employees have say in anything, like around what you do as an organization? How do you celebrate milestones? We ask all these questions, and that gives us then we're able, ooh, look at that. Like they give us more than they know they're giving us in terms of, and then whatever business they're in, then we know the, and if we don't know the community that they're in intimately, then we do the research and we try to identify and bring to the table when we're delivering our initial strategy. We've identified some opportunities for partnership that are going to give you brand visibility, but are also going to provide. And I think part of it is important for clients that are extremely sensitive to ROI and investment, that not every nonprofit is going to have the ability to give them exposure. And it's okay if like the starting point is like find a partner that is already knows how to recognize their core partners too. So it's not all altruism here. It's mutually beneficial, and that's okay. So if what you need is brand awareness, and there's a nonprofit that does a really good job of shouting out their sponsors or their corporate partners or whoever, like that might be a really good entree for you as a brand. So we'll make those recommendations based on, and then what I love is if we can identify like a small organization that doesn't have 100 corporate partners, and where you really could have like it could really be like what you and I are talking about. It's like it can move the needle. Like you're not just one more logo in a long list of logos. Like that doesn't help your brand very much. It gives you something to talk about, but you're not going to get much exposure anyway. But you become much more important if you're the only logo for that little organization. So,
and I'm always a believer too that like do it because you want to do it, and the exposure will take care of itself. If you find the right partner and you find the right connection that speaks to your brand, and it's just a good fit, like it'll take care of itself over time. But to your point, I think you're going to be able to make a bigger impact too if you're selective and find one that aligns with who you are as a brand.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another way that we sit on a couple boards, I sit on boards, but like encouraging our clients, that's another way. Like it's not even monetary, but it's engagement, and it's building your brand through this like relationship development that is more the heart of all marketing and branding is really relationship building. So there's all these ways of getting in. And I think as an agency, we have the opportunity to bring into the limelight all of these avenues and paths to authentic community engagement, but that are also going to help our client.
Have you ran into a scenario, or do you have a story where maybe that perfect alignment happened and you were able to find a client, a really good fit philanthropy or some kind of a nonprofit that they were able to really make an impact with?
Certainly. So we work with a builder called Alair. They're actually a Northern American franchise. So they started in Canada. They have like 110 offices in North America. We work with 3 in Northern Virginia. So we work with the regional office, or the corporate office is on brand, and then implement is the conduit to corporate, and then the local offices on their marketing. And so one of the regional partners is huge into giving back in community and does a ton of everything that strikes his fancy. He engages in, and it's not from a marketing, what can I get out of this perspective, but we're really honed in on identifying like what his motivators are children and family, right? And he's a builder. So he's built through the same organization that we do pro bono marketing for. He now does, like they're basically involved year round, his whole team. They go on site and do, because they're a building company, they can do some light construction services for the organization pro bono, and they can fill their truck with donations to take to people who are in shelter, and they're able to, like, they're just always involved. They run the 5K, they put a team together and they fundraise for the 5K, but it's like for the same organization. So they are now incorporating into his marketing, their marketing, right? That's the other way. And I tell brands this all the time, like, okay, I'll trust you. You don't have an hour to give, you don't have money to give, you don't have pro bono services to offer. Okay, here's something you can do for an organization that you like. Share their stuff, comment on their social media, reshare their social media, invite your friends to follow their social, like just those tiny little acts can help an organization. So like getting to be an ongoing partner, you become brand ambassadors for the organization. And honestly, like, I think that alone could be the biggest lift that an organization gets, because you're a business, you've got influence in your community. And the minute you're seen as endorsing in this ongoing way, like it's part of your DNA, you're endorsing an organization, you've now lent your entire reputational strength to an organization. That's worth more than money, honestly. And so people discount that kind of stuff. And I think that's a great starting place when businesses are a little nervous about what's it going to cost me if I want to really do this kind of community partnership. It's like, it could cost you nothing.
Right. And it's just a matter of getting started.
Yeah.
If it's something you want to do, just get started. Do something, something simple. Like, we used to even volunteer to go cook breakfast at the local homeless shelter once a month. It took 2 hours out of the month. It was not a big deal. It was fun to a degree. It was a team building opportunity for us. And it's so low impact, but you got to just get started. You got to do something. You got to get involved. So,
yeah. And Google's your best friend, obviously, for this, but like a lot of communities or counties, depending where you live, there's local volunteer organizations that become like an umbrella to the community. And so your community foundation or your local volunteer organization, if you don't know who or where to go, like, start there, or your local chamber of commerce. A lot of chambers have a lot of nonprofit partners too. Not all do. Some skew less nonprofity, but if it's just a matter of who to pick or how to meet them, like, it's not hard.
yeah, no, you could
find it.
You could be blindfolded and throw a dart and you'd hit one. So, Jennifer, thanks for being on the podcast and really sharing a little bit more about this and how you're taking, your brand and being very intentional about building community and just creating a better world. So,
sure. I appreciate the opportunity to do it. It's my soapbox. So,
yeah. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mike.
If you'd like to learn more about Cyberdogz, share your thoughts, or even ask a specific question about this episode and/or the brand retro mindset, contact me directly at mike@cyberdogzmarketing.com.